Hi everyone, welcome to Gnan Cloud Garage. In this session, I'm going to talk about step-by-step OpenShift 4.x deployment process and the prerequisites vSphere 8 infrastructure validation. So I will give you the this quick bite is like it is a continuous videos with the pre-implementation steps, implementation procedure, and post-implementation steps. So instead of doing all in a one video, I'm just recording in a short bites. So in this short bite, I'll just focus on the vSphere 8 infrastructure validation. Okay, and all I will cover the complete step-by-step OpenShift 4.x deployment process. Here 4.x means it's this process is applicable for all OpenShift 4 series 4.1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and the latest version 4.11. All the editions are same procedure. Okay. And in our demo environment, we are going to deploy the Red Hat OpenShift and we have a infrastructure is ready with the vSphere and it's connected with configured with the nimble storage and we have a 3 ESXi nodes. It is running on a HPE Synergy blade. So HPE Synergy frame with the Synergy frame means it is a like a better blade compared to blade. It's a better blade server. Within this Synergy frame, we have a 3 blades dedicatedly reserved for the ESXi host. Okay. And before understanding this process, let's quickly recap our Red Hat OpenShift vSphere. Red Hat OpenShift, when we're planning to running on vSphere, let's quickly recap the solution architecture. So within the solution architecture, as we know, we require internet access. That means in our lab system, we first verify that we have a internet access or not. Okay, let's connect to our lab system. Let me open the Google. See, even the Google is working. Let's see if I type Red Hat, the Red Hat website is, we are able to successfully launch the Red Hat website. Okay, so that means internet access is fine. And our router, that means we are already connected to a physical router and we have a internet access. And another key component is vCenter server. So even within our lab system, we already configured the vCenter server. The vCenter server version is 8.0. But if you are interested to know how we can install and configure manage vCenter server within our channel Gnan Cloud Garage, there is a separate playlist available for vCenter task and how to install, configure and manage. If you're keen to learn the vCenter process, you can just refer to the respective playlist. Okay, and I'm just giving you a validation part in this byte. Okay, and another one within our vCenter, we have created a data center and we created a cluster, and under this cluster we configured the cluster features. DRS is in on state. DRS is mainly for load balancing technique, and we also enable vSphere high availability also in a turn on state. High availability is like it's a failover mechanism. In case of one ESXi host is down, there will be no production impact. All virtual machines are migrate and restarted on another ESXi host. Okay, using HA. And we have 3 ESXi hosts are configured. ESX IPs are ends with 41, 42, and 43. And each ESXi host running with the 8.0 version, ESXi 8.0, and it's all running on a HPE Synergy blade. So one of the compute node is its version is Synergy model is 480 generation 10. Even the ESX2 also running on same Synergy compute node and version is 8.0, and even ESX3 also same. Okay, and but for this installation requirement, the recommendation is even though if we have a one node also, we can provision the same steps, and the three nodes are the best practices. Okay, and we are running the planning to deploy OpenShift 4.x on vSphere. So that's the reason in our vSphere, our base platform will be ESXi host, vCenter, and all the vCenter key features like HE and DRS should be enabled, and then only we can start provisioning the vSphere. We can start provisioning the OpenShift deployment process on vSphere environment. And another key parts are we should also verify the data store. We currently in our lab we have a 3 local data store for each ESXi host, and we have a nimble data store, and nimble data store configured for commonly shared storage for all these 3 ESXi hosts, 41, 42, and 43. Okay, and networking, we can configure either vSwitch networking or distributor switch networking. For the time being, I'm just using the vSwitch networking, but the procedure is same. Either we can use virtual switch or we can use a distributed switch. Okay, so vSphere infrastructure wise, we are already ready with the ESX vCenter and some other components we can verify from the solution architecture diagram. So vCenter part is we validated, and we also need some additional components like a DHCP server, DNS server, and also we need a domain controller also needed, because all our system must be configured with some base domain. Whatever the domain we are using, it's mostly like our organization name. If you are using HPE, like hpa.com is our domain. Same way, if you are in our lab, we are using a lab domain is the our actual domain controller, and we should also verify that DNS and DHCP is configured or not. Okay, let's quickly log into lab system. Within our vCenter, we have a AD server is already running. It is running with Windows Server 2022, and VMware tools are up to date. And to verify the services, just launch the AD server, either web console or can connect to the RDP session. Once we connected here, let's log into the Windows system and verify the our main server roles. So just go to the start server manager and verify that our system must be joined to the domain. See, this Windows Active Directory already joined to the domain. Domain name is anpslab.com. This domain name you can use based on our organization name structure. And roles, go to the dashboard. We can see ADDS. That means Active Directory Domain Service role is already configured and DNS role also configured. But if you notice here, there is no DHCP role. But our pre-requirement for OpenShift installation is we require a DHCP as well. So to configure DHCP, go to the manage, add role features, and we can click on next. But if you want to configure this role, administrator account must be login. So I already log in with administrator, and our IP settings should be configured as a static. And the most current security features, Windows updates are installed. So our lab system already up to date with the latest patches. So this validation pre-requirements are okay to configure DHCP role. DHCP means dynamic host configuration protocol. So now click on next, and role based on feature based installation, click on next. And server role is we are just selecting the server 801, click on next. And the server role, if you see here, Active Directory domain services already installed state, and even DNS server also installed state. But DHCP not installed, just enable the DHCP add feature, click on next. And this features and all, currently we are not going to use any features specifically to the DHCP, so just leave it as it is, click on next. And the DHCP dynamic host configuration protocol is going to configure, and it says you should configure at least one static IP address on this computer. We already assign a static IP, so click on next. And this role confirm the installation, so just click on install. DHCP going to install in our Windows Server. So as per our solution architecture, we require a domain controller, DNS, and DHCP. So all these three roles are going to configure on the same system. Because it's in our lab system, all we can configure on one server. Suppose your infrastructure is big, we can configure DHCP for separate server, DNS is in separate server, and DC in a separate server. It depends on infrastructure size. And even you can configure DNS DHCP not only in a Windows flavor OS, even we can also configure on a Linux based operating systems. Okay, but in this lab session I'm just showing you on a Windows based server, and the server is Windows Server 2022. So some scenarios, after you configure the DHCP, it may ask for restart, and some scenarios it won't prompt for a restart. So installation started. We can just monitor for a while until the installation is complete. Okay, in the meantime, let's quickly back to our slide. So with interest of our time, internet access is verified, vCenter verified, DHCP server is verified, and the DNS server is also verified, all configured. DHCP configuration is in progress. And the router, we already connected with physical network, and that's the reason we are already getting the internet access. So this row is completely validated. And the provisioning node, we can also call it as helper node. We can configure helper node with either Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 series version or 9 series version, either 9.0 or 9.1. Okay, so let's verify the helper VM. So back to our lab system. And if you log into our vCenter server, Active Directory already we verified, and another system is running with a OCP helper. We configured the name as OCP OpenShift Container Platform Helper 01, and it's installed with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8.6 version. Okay, and VMware tools are running, and even to launch the console, launch the web console, we can see Red Hat Enterprise Linux is already installed. Okay, and another thing is vCenter server also already running. Our vCenter server is also running with a 8.0. That is also running as a appliance VM. Okay, so back to our slide. That means this layer is completely validated, and this bootstrap node it will create during the installation time, and master node and worker node I will show you during the implementation process. Okay, so and back to the DHCP configuration again. See our AD system. See, now the DHCP configuration is completed. Configuration required installation succeeded on AD001 system. And now click on close. So currently there is a warning message. Let's see here. It's saying that post deployment configuration, complete DHCP configuration. So click on complete DHCP configuration. So click on next, and it is using the current authentication. It is login with administrator account. Click on commit, and see the creates security groups done and authorize DHCP server is done. Click on close. So now once I refresh here within our server manager wizard, earlier we can see only the ADDS and DNS. Now we already have a additional role DHCP also configured. Okay, so according to the pre-requirements, we are ready with the our required roles: DNS, DHCP, and ADDS. Okay, so this portion is completed. Now let's back to the another slide. I'll just explain you the pre-implementation steps, high level overview. See, as part of pre-implementation steps, we have to do prepare the action plan with the step-by-step instructions of compute, network, and storage. Normally, this action plan might be vary from one organization to another organization. Normally, action plans we can prepare in any of the Excel sheet, or we can use a Microsoft project plan tool. Using that project plan, we can prepare the complete high-level action plan for all the OpenShift to pre-implementation steps, implementation procedure, and post-implementation steps. But this session, I'm going to be focusing on pre-implementation steps. So as part of action plan, you can use based on your convenience, you can prepare the action plan. So for testing purpose, I just given one quick overview in the following slide, how the action plan it looks like. And ESX 8 and vCenter 8.0, we verified, and Windows 22 VM also already deployed. Just with interest of our time, I'm just to keep it ready. And AD, DNS, DHCP roles also configured, and RHL 8.x helper VM also configured. And join all system to base domain. That means we have to join the system to the domain controller. So just quickly verify that portion also. So if I select the local system, AD system joined to domain, even our vCenter server also joined to the domain, and even ESX servers also already joined to the domain controller. Okay, and another thing is, as part of pre-implementation steps, we have to configure DNS record for OpenShift cluster, and this portion I will show you in the subsequent video. And even configure DHCP also I will show you after DNS. I will show you how to configure DHCP scope, and finally we can download the OpenShift installer. With this step, our pre-implementation steps are completed. Okay, so now IP address list, pre-implementation steps IP address list. So instead of doing all the action steps information, I just prepared the action IP information. This is also part of the action plan. So if you notice here, we categorize what is physical and what is virtual machine, and the server name, and also the IP address. So before implementation itself, we should be ready this kind of action plan. See, I already dedicated 20 IPs for the OpenShift environment. If you see here serial number 1 to 20, I took the IP address from 41 to 60. 20 IPs dedicated for this OpenShift implementation. So we have three ESXi hosts, ESX1, 2, 3. It's have the IP address 40 ends with 41, 42, and 43. Even we verified from the vCenter level. And the AD system, I assigned the IP is 44. Even if you see quickly here, AD system, here we have the IP address is 44, ends with 44 IP. Okay, and vCenter server ends with 45 IP, and see vCenter server also 45 IP address, and the remaining IP address, if you notice here, helper VM is using 46. So helper VM, let's quickly check. OCP helper VM, this system IP address is 46. So as per our action plan, already we assigned the IP addresses are accurately until the 1 to 6th item. Okay, and this DNS record creation, I will show you in the next subsequent video. So we required dedicated DNS records for OpenShift 4.x installation. So one is for API VIP and Ingress VIP. These two are dedicatedly for container platform. And this IP is 47, 48. I am dedicating for static IPs, DNS, OpenShift API VIP and Ingress VIP. And the remaining 49, I just keep it as a spare IP. It's like a free IP only. Whenever we need any additional IP, we can use this IP. And 50 to 60, we will create a DHCP scope. Why this DHCP scope is, we are planning to install OpenShift using IPA method. IPA means install provision infrastructure method. Using install provision infrastructure method, we can push the IP address to all the OpenShift master node and worker nodes using the DHCP scope. Even once the IPs are pushed, finally, if you want to reserve those IPs, we have a DHCP reservation option. That portion also I will show you in the subsequent video session. Okay, and another additional particular information, sir, our lab domain name is anpslab.com, and subnet mask also needed to configure for all the system. Subnet mask we should have a make it a record, and the gateway also needed. Gateway only we are using like a router IP, and OpenShift cluster name. Our OCP OpenShift container platform cluster name should be, we should keep one name. Let's say I'm using in short OCP 410, because we are going to install the version 4.10 version. Okay, so cluster name also I'm using the same version, same name, it just for our easy understanding. Okay, now quickly recap our pre-requirements. What are all the steps we completed now? See, action plan, just now I explained you with the IP list, and even if you elaborate some notes, that will be only our action plan. So that portion is completed. Compute level, we have vSphere. Network portion, we are using vSwitch, and storage portion, we are using a nimble storage. Maybe in your lab or if your organization environment, if you are using any specific models and information, those you can keep it in your action plan. Okay, and even you can also include the timeline when we are going to finish and all. That is only the action plan, and it's must and should we keep for the all the IP inventory as well. And infrastructure ESX8 vCenter 8 we already validated, and vCenter 22 also validated, configured with the 3 roles, and OCP helper VM also we configured. And join the system to domain, even our vCenter system is joined to domain, and we have to create a domain admin account for vCenter server. So vCenter server, if you want to configure a domain admin account, let's log into lab system again, log into the vCenter server. Our vCenter already joined to domain. If you want to verify if it is joined to domain or not, go to the vSphere client, and we can select the administration tab. Under administration tab, go to the configuration section, and here Active Directory domain, verify that vCenter server is joined to domain or not. It's already joined to anpslab.com domain. And to provide a domain account permission, because we need a domain account during the OpenShift container platform installation time. So we have to add a one domain admin account here. So go to the global permissions. If you want to add a domain admin account, just click on add, and domain account, you can choose Either we can choose the domain name, like for example, I'm choosing the domain name here, but identity is not yet added. So go to the configuration again, select the identity sources. We have to add our domain name here. So select the Active Directory, integrated Windows authentication, click on add. So once you added, see NPS lab is added here under the identity sources. Now go to the global permissions tab, and here you can choose our domain name here. Let's say domain name is, click on add, and we can see the domain name here now, anpslab.com, and choose our domain admin account. For example, domain admin account I just given as my name Kumar, and you can choose the role, administrator role, and propagate to the children, and click on OK. So that means we already ready with the one domain admin account with full domain vCenter level administrator role permissions. Okay, so that point only I highlighted here. Create a domain account for vCenter server. This should be admin permissions. Okay, so until now we completed in this session. The DNS portion I will cover in the next session. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you. If you're watching this video first time, please do view, like, share, and subscribe to the Gnan Cloud Garage channel. If you're already subscribed, I appreciate all your support. Bye for now.